welcome to my channel. This is Lisa with Lisa's Faith and Budget Planning channel. I'm excited to be here today. I'm excited to be here with you, getting into my paycheck one for the month of July. I have my new stickers down for the month. If you did not see my monthly budget video, go back and check that out. I'll tell you everything that's going to happen for the month, but this pattern just brings me so much life and so much joy. We are a military family. My husband's retired military, so my dad was Air Force, and thank you for everyone who's ever served and your family members who have served. It's just an amazing sacrifice that is, we should be honoring those around us every day as much as we can and caring for them and taking care of the needs of those individuals. It just means a lot to me that people will be willing to sacrifice and have sacrificed for our nation. Didn't mean to get all sentimental there, but that's where it went. My monthly calendar, absolutely am in love with. It just looks amazing, and I love how this turned out. I love hydrangeas, and I love the peekaboo with the flag, and the colors for the month of July is just... it just brings me joy. So I am so excited. So we're going to go ahead and get into this. Now, if you see my monthly budget, this is kind of a repeat of what I did there, except for I split my bills and my spending in half here. Well, not directly in half, but whatever happens from the 1st through the 14th, the bill wise, that happens here. And then whatever happens spending wise goes over here. And I try to limit myself just half of the spending, so the other half is available towards the end of the month for the last two and a half weeks for the rest of the month. Depends on what the calendar says. Let's see. And I'm not sure how June's going to turn out just yet. Move this over. Because in June, we're not done with it yet. I'm filming this ahead of time. But sometimes I take a few days of the previous month and include it in the new month. And I'm trying not to do that, but I might have to this time again, do my weekly check-ins. And I'm just trying to figure it all out. I do like the fact that it ends on a Thursday, because Thursdays are when I like to do my weekly check-ins. But with the paydays over here, it kind of throws it all off. So we'll see. But now that I said that, because this payday's here, this is actually the start of the new month, that doesn't really matter. Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. And as I look at this calendar right now, if I do part of the previous month in this month, I would definitely need a 5-week calendar month. So hopefully, and I think it will work out, because I gave myself the normal numbers I normally have for spending, and I can stretch that through the entire month. Summers are long sometimes, and longer months and more days, it seems like, and getting the paycheck to flow, and we only get paid 2 times a month. Technically 3, but one's the 30th and then the 1st. And those are combined together and make the 1st of the month and then the middle of the month. Those are 2 paycheck periods. So a little awkward sometimes, but I muddle my way through. I always do. Now back to paycheck one. My husband's military retirement is $1,947.35. And his VA disability is $2,489.96. Our oldest son pays rent, $827. Salary, $1,690 a paycheck. And this is his, oh, I almost did it again. And this is his regular salary check at his job. He gets one more salary check, and that's part of paycheck 2, and I have to make sure I balance forward enough to cover bills and spending during paycheck 2 by the end of paycheck 1. So I have to pay close attention to these categories when I do my spending. These are pretty much fixed, and they don't vary, but maybe a few dollars up and down. I can pretty much count on this part, the spending and our behavior, that I have to really pay attention to the most. So let's go ahead and total up all the spending. Okay, so we are looking at $6,954 and, wow, I really need to pay attention to where I'm writing, and 31 cents. All right. And next we have is our first column of budgeting here, and we have tithing, which we plan $100. Our second tithing this paycheck period is Greater Europe Mission, which is our missionaries that we give to. We've been giving to them for years and years and years. $256.75. And then TRICARE is my son's insurance, $727. And the mortgage is $2,048.03. And then the Roth is $1,330. Spectrum is our internet, $113. Hulu is $101.75. HP Instant Ink is $741. YouTube Premium is $24.92. Our water, I am budgeting $45, and Geico, we are budgeting $156.04. This might go up a couple dollars. I couldn't get on the app to find out how much next month's bill is going to be. So once I know that number for sure, I will go ahead and set that up in the actual column here. So let's go ahead and total up what we budget for all these bills happening in Paycheck 1. All right, we're looking at $4,909.90. A lot of nines there. All right, now we're going to go to our expenses. So I budget for the month for our spending categories, and I divide it in two, and half of goes on Paycheck 1, the other half on Paycheck 2, and I try to stay within those boundaries. So $1,500 is what I planned for grocery household. If you divide it by 2, it's $750. Restaurants is $400 for a month, so that's $200 for this first 2 weeks. Try not to go over $100 a weekend. Miscellaneous is $150 for the month, and that gives us $75 for 2 weeks. These are just random things that pop up that we didn't plan on getting, but we ended up getting anyway. Gasoline, $220 is what we plan for the month, and that's $110 per paycheck period. Copay is $75. I just want to make sure when I divide it, it's what I put in last time, is $37.50. Now, when it comes to my spending categories, the total is what I'm really aiming for in a paycheck period, not necessarily, I mean, I definitely want to stay within the categories, the grocery household and the restaurants. But the rest of this kind of can be commingled, and it'll be fine if I need to. Miscellaneous, I tried not to avoid to go over what is set for that paycheck period. But if I absolutely have to and I have enough cushion in the others, then I might actually borrow from another category. But I wouldn't say rarely, but I try not to do that. So let's go ahead and budget up the total here. All right, we're looking at $1,172.50. That is what we have available to spend for the first 14 days or the first 2 weeks. If you divide that in half again, that's $586.25 a week. So that is what we're looking at per week for the month of July. If it's a 5-week month though, then this is kind of based on a 4-week month as far as these numbers go. But if you do it on a 5-week month, you just have to make sure you put aside enough. And I have to pay attention because at the end of the month, I do have some subscribe and saves happen, and I need to pay attention to exactly how much that is and leave enough in our grocery household, which is because they're mostly supplements, and that's where I would get the money from. At the end of the month, I need to kind of protect that money at the end of the month, make sure I have it available in order to cover all the spending. So there's a lot of things to think about when you're planning out your budget. And that's why sitting down and writing it out definitely helps you focus on how to plan out a budget and fine tune it to where the money actually works. So that is what budgeting is all about, is just protecting yourself. This is a way of being self-care for you and your family and things like that, to make sure you have enough of everything that you need, and just being good stewards to yourself and your family on where the money is actually going. So now we're going to take the totals, figure out what the estimated balance forward. I need a balance forward because part of this money actually belongs in Paycheck 2, and I need to protect that money. So 80% of our income is right here, and we only get one more paycheck before the new month starts, and it's $16.90. So it's not a lot, and I got to make sure there's enough going into the next paycheck period, especially if you only get $16.90 but you need at least $1172.50 for spending categories. That wipes it pretty much out, and there's not a lot of money for the bills. So I have to make sure those bills in Paycheck 2 are protected with using money in Paycheck 1. I hope that made sense. So let's total these numbers up. $6,954.31 minus the $4,909.90 and minus the $1,172.50. I'm estimating about $871.91 that I need to protect to go forward into the Paycheck 2 time period. The goal is to have this amount or more on the actual balance forward. And that is that. So that's Paycheck 1, and that is that. Paycheck 1 is done. I know what the plan is. I know what cash is coming in. I know where the cash is going out as far as bills, and I know what to protect and use as far as spending. And this is what's going to keep me on track. I have a monthly calendar where I track my spending every week, and I pay back the credit card all the spending that happens, because everything goes on the credit card. Bills, not all the bills, but a few of the bills and the spending. Now that I've said that, let's highlight where the bills are. So I have a few bills that actually go onto the credit card, and we're going to highlight those. The first one I have is Spectrum, and then Hulu, HP Instant Ink, and then YouTube Premium. These all go to the credit card. So when it hits the credit card, I post, or I write in here that the actual has happened, because I know I'm going to pay it during that week to pay back the credit card for that purchase. Now usually, let's see, last month that didn't happen, but usually the first two here, and I draw a little line, is paycheck, or not paycheck, week 1, and then this is part of week 2 of the weekly check-in. So each of my different budgeting plans, monthly budget, Paycheck 1, Paycheck 2, and then the closing out of each paycheck period, as well as tracking all the spending on the credit card. I have 2 places I track it. I track it on that calendar I showed you, but I also track it back here on my spending tracker. This matches and flows with my actual credit card, and everything's written down here, whether it's part of the spending categories or not. You'll see things in here that are purchases for like the trash that's going to come out this month. It's a sinking fund. You're not going to see that in my budget. You're going to see it here on my tracker, and then you're going to see it on my sinking funds back here. And I track whatever goes in and out of the savings account. This will be a setup soon, in a few, probably in a week or so, closer to the 15th, because that's when I move the money over. And I will have that video ready, but each of these takes care of the previous. So I always set up my monthly. That gives me an overview of the month. I actually don't even have to come back to this, but I do track it and show it in like a, I think I'm calling it an 8-minute budget closeout or something like that, where I've tracked everything and now I can close out and find out for the month, and that matches my checking account. But I do set up Paycheck 1. The next one you're going to see is me closing out paycheck 1 and setting up paycheck 2. And then at the end of the month, I will close out paycheck 2, and the balance that's in there, whether it's 0 or any number, that is what's reflected in my checking account. This all flows together for my checking account. And then these other weekly check-ins, credit card spending tracker here, and then the calendar up front. The calendar up front is what I always show you guys, but this is something else that I use just to make sure I know the balance of my credit card and there's no fraud going on. But I do track it all. You don't have to do all these different layouts, but I like to. And if you have questions about any of them, let me know. But once I get to paycheck 2 and close it out, I'm done for the month, and it matches my checking account perfectly every single time, unless I did my math wrong. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of my videos, please subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys next time. Have an amazing and blessed day. Bye.